Welcome to the Joyfully Homeschooling Podcast
with our mom,
Misty Bailey. Tips and encouragement
for
real-life homeschooling
is headed your way.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Joyfully Homeschooling Podcast. I am Misty Bailey, and today we are talking all about homeschool curriculum with my good friend, Davonne Parks. How are you today, Davonne?
I'm good. How are you?
I am wonderful. I am home. Because where
I'm
else
home
would we
too.
be?
There's nowhere else to go right now.
There's nothing else to do or go or anything else. And so I feel like a lot of times this time of year, people are going to homeschool conventions and they're looking at curriculum in person and they're buying their curriculum. But I don't think people can do that right now, can they?
No.
So I figured we'd talk about curriculum today because I'm missing getting to see things in person and I'm making decisions about next school year. Are you?
I kind of am, but we're kind of just continuing what we did this year because we pretty much like everything that we've been using. So I haven't personally felt a need to go flip through stuff, but I also know there have been years where that has just been incredibly valuable to me to get to go to the convention and have a list of, okay, I want to look at these 3 language arts programs and then talk to the people and flip through their things and actually get to touch them and hold them has helped a lot. So I know for a lot of people that's like a really big disappointment to not be able to do that this year.
Yeah, so I have a few things. I typically have always used the same thing the past couple years too, but I like going and looking at things and buying the things there and saving shipping. But I'm saving some of my purchases for the Southeast Homeschool Expo that we are supposed to still be having in July. And so I'm hoping to get to go there and see a few things as well. So we will see. That's the plan right now. Although COVID could change our lives again by July.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk homeschool curriculum because we're recording this the end of April. And I typically have done a curriculum reveal by now, and I know a lot of people are purchasing curriculum, and I've gotten a lot of messages already asking what we're using next year, what I recommend on certain things. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of get you on here and we can kind of talk a little bit about homeschool curriculum. So what has been your favorite homeschool curriculum so far?
I will say I have 2 that I completely geek out about and tell everybody about. The first one is one that you introduced me to, Apologia Science. I love that. And you spent years telling me I should switch to Apologia because I would like it. And I kept saying, no, our science is fine. And then we switched a couple years ago, and I remember telling you if I had realized how much I'd like this, I would have switched a long time ago. We love it. So my elementary school girl uses it, and she loves science, and she's actually doing 2 science a year because she wants to get through all of the elementary science before she goes into general science in 7th grade. So she loves it. My older daughter, Lily, absolutely loves it as well. I even love it so much that I've already gone through the elementary astronomy book on audio. I've just been listening while I've been driving, and now I'm doing I know, I'm a total nerd about this. Like now I'm listening to general science on audio, and then my plan is to listen to physical science next and then go back and get the rest of the elementary sciences. Like I love this stuff. I think it's so great.
I love it.
Yes, I love the Christian evidence is like my kids know so much about Christian evidence because of Apologia and other things too that we do and that we've done before Apologia. But it's just presented in this way that's so logical and so good. And like talking to my kids about science, they are super smart in it. It's just phenomenal. I love it, love it, love it. So my second thing is another one that you told me about, Not Grass History.
I knew that's what you were going to say. Like that was like, that's so funny because that's like our same things. Okay.
Yes, I love Not Grass. I love that it simplifies our homeschool day because as far as core subjects, it incorporates language arts, Bible, and history, so you only have to add in math and science. That simplified my day so much when we switched over to Knotgrass. I also love that it was written by a homeschool family who graduated their 3 homeschool kids, so they really know what homeschool parents need because they've been there. I love that their curriculum purposefully only has 150 lessons, even though there are 180 school days, because, again, as a former homeschool mom, she knows you've got sick days or field trips or any kind of anything else, like going off on a rabbit trail in history, and you can do all those things and not feel like you've fallen behind.
Yeah. Well,
Love
and
that.
those would probably be my 2 picks too. And we used Knotgrass's elementary history this year with Daniel.
I want to try that one so much. It looks so fun, but my kids are too old.
It has been awesome, and the kids have really liked it. And the kids, Daniel, it has really liked it, and he's really enjoyed it. Like, he would ask to do history, because at History Week, because we kind of rotated out where one week we do history, the next week we do science, and we were doing apologies astronomy this year with him. But he would sometimes want to
So
jump
you
back
know
and
how
forth in
good
books.
astronomy is then, because you're doing it right now.
Yeah, and I'm actually reading
fun.
it, because when Kristen went through it, she read it on her own, and she would read it with Daniel some, because he was in kindergarten when she did it. But she would read it on her own, and yeah, so I'm going through it with him, and he would still would pick history. Like, if he could choose between the 2, he liked astronomy, but he really, really, really enjoyed the history. And I think Knotgrass, for me, I love the family. Knotgrass family. And, we had them come to our homeschool history day, their staff, and record us, which I don't know when those videos are going to be out, but
I wondered the same thing. That was so much fun.
it was a lot of fun. And I don't know, I've worked with a lot of companies through the years and met a lot of the staff behind the companies. And there's something special about the Knotgrass family. So not only is it my favorite program, but I just love their family as well. And of course, I love Apology of Science also. But Allison's doing biology this year, and she struggled. She struggled a little bit with biology, and she struggled some last year with physical science. They're such a thorough program. But Kristen tested out of general science. I will say that with the general science program for you with Grace, I did not do the general science with Allison, because Apologia recommended her go straight to physical, because we had done all of Apologia's elementary program. And so they're like, she would be fine going to physical, but she struggled skipping general science. However, Kristen, because she's a science person, she kept getting straight A's on all of the tests. And finally she's like, Mom, I know all of this. Can I just take the test and be done? So she took all of the tests for all of the modules with general science right after Christmas, passed them all with at least an 80%, and she was done. She's doing, yeah. And that was from Apologia doing all of their elementary programs, because she's just science minded.
Wow.
And their general science is a great program, but if you have that science oriented kid who's used Apologia all along, they may not need it. So
that makes sense to me, because when Lily didn't do any elementary Apologia. She started at middle school in general science, and she's even told me before, like, she feels like she got gypped out of elementary science because she sees Grace's, and it's so cool. Lily's actually planning on listening to some of the elementary books on audio this summer with me, because they're so much fun. But so Lily went through general science, and she hadn't used it. And I remember thinking, and even telling a couple people, that I feel like that's almost a catch up. If somebody's kids didn't have a good science background in elementary school, general science would catch them up to where they needed to be to get ready for physical science and biology, the high school level sciences.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. And Allison could have used it simply because she wasn't a science-minded person, but Kristen didn't need it. Like, I wish I would have done physical science with her this year in 7th grade. Like, if I had a do-over, I would have done physical science this year. But then I don't know that I could have counted it for high school. So I don't know. She's doing animal science right now through Nelson Academy. And I will say, moving on to the next question, what has been your kid's favorite curriculum? I talked about that with my kids personally in episode 84, where I talked about what my kids' what my kids really think of being homeschooled. So go back and catch that if you want my kids' answers. I'll get your answers in a minute. But I will say that I think Kristen's would change because she's doing Nelson Academy, which is allagonline.com. And it is like a, oh, you know how public schools have like the agriculture classes? It's called FFA. That's what it's called.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what it is. It's FFA online, and it's based out of North Dakota, and they work with a lot of public schools, but they also work with homeschoolers. And I hesitated buying it for her because it's expensive. But, and it, well, also they recommended it for like high school, but I talked to them and they recommended animal science for junior high. And so I bought her Animal Science 1, and she has learned so much this semester, like so much. Like her professor, her teacher emailed me and said that she has shown more potential than any other middle schooler he has had. And he
Wow.
recommends next year her bump up to the high school level classes. And he's like, I made out a high school plan for her. I hope you don't mind. But he's like, I really think she's going to go somewhere. And a good part of, like, she's got straight A's in that class. That foundation was laid with Apologia, I will say that. But she's learned just so much about agriculture and animals. And like, she made this big poster with like she built like a couple hundred acre dairy farm, and she had to learn how to move her herds around and when to put her cows together to breed, and how many acres she would need for so many cows. And I don't know, it was this whole big project. She's been freehanding animals' digestive systems and like their skeletal systems and so much. And she's so excited to do Animal Science 2 and then Equine Science 1 next year, because she's really, really enjoyed that class. And it was worth the investment that I hesitated doing, but it was really, really worth the investment for her. So I think her curriculum would change if I asked her, which I forgot to do. So what about your kids?
Well, whenever you said that, I was thinking, oh no, I forgot to ask my kids. That was on our list. What you said about Kristen, she's also an amazing artist. So all that stuff that she's freehanding, like, I'm sure that looks phenomenal. I love that. I definitely want to check that out for Grace because she's super into animals too. So as far as my kids' favorite curriculum, Grace, I wouldn't even have to ask her. It is hands down Apologia.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she is so into this. She takes the books everywhere. She reads them for fun. She got through at a full year's worth of textbooks in like 3 months or something, because she loves it that much. She doesn't want to get rid of them. She doesn't want to sell them. She keeps them on her bookshelf, and she actually pulls them out and rereads them for fun.
Yeah.
Like, she's read the Zoology 3, I think it's the Land Animals book. I've seen her with that. She did that maybe 2 years ago, and I have seen her with that book so many times, even this year, just poring over it and reading all about the animals again. So I would say that's definitely Grace's number one, without a doubt. Lily recently told me something that surprised me. She started out with Mystery of History. Both girls did that. They went through the 4-year program, from creation through present day, or actually, I guess, through the end of time, because it talks about Jesus coming back to earth. So both girls went through that. Grace is on the last volume currently, and then she'll start, I believe, next year with Knotgrass. So Lily has actually told me recently that she liked Mystery of History more than she likes Knotgrass. And I was totally shocked. I had no idea. Like, totally shocked. But the interesting thing about that was, with Mystery of History, you can use that up through high school. And I asked her, I said, well, do you want to go back to that? And she said, no, I want to stick with Knotgrass. So I don't know what that means.
Knotgrass is laid out so easily for kids to do independently. If I had to guess,
part of it.
That's what it is. Knowing Lily, I would say that's it.
Yeah, and when they go through it, I just let them either read the lessons or listen on audio. They don't take any of the tests. Now, this isn't for Knotgrass. This is for Mystery of History. And they only do the activities they feel like doing. So I kind of wonder if that's part of it too. Like, she just got to enjoy it and be lazy about it a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But they learned a lot, even doing it that way. So it didn't bother me that's just how we did it.
Yeah. So through the years, have you found that a curriculum that you maybe used with one of your kids didn't necessarily work with the others?
Almost everything. I know for Lily, we used All About Spelling, and she loved that, and I was very much into All About Spelling, and I thought, like, this is the spelling program. It is superior to all the others. And I kept it for Grace. It just never worked. Like, it just didn't. It wasn't her style. It required a lot from me, and at that point in time I was busy because that's when I had gone back to work anyways, and so we ended up having to ditch that. That was probably the one I was the most disappointed about, really.
Yeah. Well, like for me, it was Hooked on Phonics, and I
That was
taught,
one for us
yeah,
too.
yeah. I taught the girls how to read with that, and then taught daycare kids and my niece how to read with that. But it was really, really hard for me because with Daniel, it didn't work. And I think that's one thing I want to get through to moms with this episode. Two points I want to make. And that is, number one, like, don't be afraid to try a different curriculum for each child. Because I think it's hard when you get in this mindset that you've found that perfect curriculum and you know you're going to use it all the way through. And then you go to use it with a kid and they don't really like it. But your heart, most of the time, maybe just me, like wants to be like, no, suck it up, buttercup. We're going to push through this and we're going to use it anyway. But we don't stop to think about the needs of our child. And we, again, at least I like, well, I've got this. I don't want to try something else. But I think it's important to not be afraid to try a different curriculum for each child, and don't force a curriculum that your kids don't like, because I think that doing that can very much suck the joy out of homeschooling for the child and the mom. What do you think?
I will say I agree completely for the most part. That curriculum has made a big difference, and I think we've talked about this in previous episodes. Like,
Mhm.
I don't choose curriculum without my kids'
Mhm.
I don't even want to say approval, because I mean, I'm the parent, I'm going to make those final decisions. But at the same time, if they hate something, I'm not going to use it. If I, like, whenever we were changing language arts and changing sciences, I had narrowed it down to a few, and I called my kids in one at a time, look at and had them look through the samples with me and do like whatever lessons that we could do for free online. And I really, really took their opinion into consideration.
Mhm.
If they really hated all of them, I would have said, okay, well, what do you want in a program? And I would have probably started over, because I want my kids to love learning.
Yes.
I feel like if they love learning, they're going to be lifelong learners.
Mhm.
Now, with that being said, I also have friends who have like 4 or 5 kids really close in age, like boom, 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 boom. And they have those moms, I've talked to them about this, and for the mom's sanity, they just have to pick a curriculum and stick with it, because it's not in their capacity to be able to cater the curriculum to every child individually. Right. And they've even said, we feel like they do just have to learn how this is what needs done, and you need to do it whether you enjoy it or not. That's a valuable skill to have. Yeah. So I think there are maybe times or circumstances like that it's okay. Like if there's a mom listening who is a mom with that type of situation, I think it's fine. Don't feel like just because we want our kids to enjoy the textbook, it's okay if they need for them to just use the same thing all the way through. Like with every kid, it's totally okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. But I think that once the kids get to 4th or 5th grade, they can kind of separate a little bit from their younger siblings and do more independent work. And for me, that's about the time shift that I started letting the kids have a choice. Once they were able to work more independently, just to kind of, I don't want to say backtrack, but just to kind of, what word am I looking for? Explain like where I was coming from as far as letting the kids kind of pick, is I really didn't let them have a whole lot of a say until they were old enough to kind of work more on their own. Because when their kids are really young, you do need them to be together. You need ease. I could not have had a bunch of Daniels all learning different things.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
there's no way. But I think once they get to a certain age, it's a lot easier to let them have that say and to let them kind of pick what they want to learn about, because they can do a lot of that independently.
Yeah, I think I will say I agree with that. And of course, Lily and Grace are 4 years apart. So I've never had that experience of like, just the kids back to back. What we did do is whenever I was working full time and Grace was not yet a strong reader, Lily would read her lessons out loud to Grace, and then Grace would join in for the simple activities, and Lily would do the more advanced activities by herself. Grace learned a ton that way. But you're right, though. Lily really wasn't having a say in curriculum until she was at that independent point. And then hers was getting used with Grace until Grace was to a point of going independently. And then I really started thinking about what Grace particularly would like. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And one of my friends who has 5 kids, who are just kind of stair-step kids, with her oldest especially, she would let her oldest pick something else. Like I know at one point she was using a box curriculum and she went away from that because it wasn't working for her family anymore, but her entire family then went away from the box curriculum. And they moved to something else. And then so as her oldest is kind of the one who's almost setting the tone for some of the younger ones, because she's like, Mom, this curriculum is really boring, or this one's really good. And so they'll switch, and then the others follow suit with whatever that is. So there's a little bit of flexibility there, even though there has to be a lot of structure and just standard, this is what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that each family is going to have to kind of make that determination for themselves. I just want to encourage moms that, you don't have to be boxed in. You don't have to make something work that just does not fit your family just because it worked before, or just because it fit XYZ.
Or even just because so-and-so says it's the best.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah, just because we say it's the best.
Apologia.
Yeah. But no, that's true, because I had so many people tell me to try different things with Daniel, that it was wonderful, it was great, and it didn't fit for us. Like there's so many different reading programs we used through the years that did not fit for him. And I would take recommendations from experts or people who had kids like him, but it didn't fit my son. And I could not push through it. And I spent so much money on reading curriculums for him. And it just couldn't find the right fit. And even still, I mean, I could give you so many opinions on all the different reading curriculums through the years for him, but there's not been one that I've been like, okay, that one was a game changer for us. I think that they all just kind of did their own little tool, or they did their own little thing and helped. And in the end, I cannot give you like this perfect recommendation for kids with dyslexia because there's so many different things out there.
Yeah.
So, okay. What is one curriculum that you really wanted to work, but it just didn't?
I think I had 3. One was all about spelling, which we talked about. One was rod and staff, which worked for Lily, but not so much for Grace. For their grammar. I loved rod and staff. It was just so cute and so straightforward and like sweet and simple. But yeah, Grace hated it. The big one though for us, when Lily was in elementary school, I wanted Saxon Math to work so badly because I was told by other moms Saxon was the best. And if your kids do Saxon Math, they're going to be so smart and so good at math. And we just really didn't like the program, but I pushed and pushed and pushed. And ironically, she's actually still in Saxon, even though she hates it, but it's her choice. She's refusing to change out of it. So.
That's funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So she has this, it's called Nicole the Math Lady. It's like $50 a year. She goes through all of the lessons, and Lily really likes Nicole the Math Lady. So she has chosen to stay with Saxon so that way she can keep using Nicole the Math Lady.
That's interesting.
Yeah. But as she's finishing the books, we're just getting rid of them because I'm not even going to mess with that with Grace. Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done with Saxon.
That's so funny because you said rod and staff, and I'm like, I used that for a couple years with the girls when we used Heart of Dakota, And it was so boring. You're like, oh, it's so cute. And I'm like, oh, are you crazy? That was so boring.
See, I'm a grammar nerd.
That's probably why. We would get to the diagramming sentences. Do you remember that? I'd be like, why are we diagramming sentences? Like, I never diagrammed sentences. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah. See, I didn't like that part. Lily was on her own for sentence diagramming. She can totally still diagram a sentence, and I'm still like totally clueless.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Podcast sponsors make the Joyfully Homeschooling podcast possible. So let's take some time to thank our current podcast sponsor, Minnow. As moms, we've got a lot on our plates. We don't have time to hover and make sure what our kids are watching is appropriate. And we definitely don't have time to pre-screen everything they watch. That's why our family loves Minnow. Minnow is an ad-free streaming video app designed just for kids with thousands of shows that teach kids about Jesus, including 30 episodes of classic VeggieTales. Okay, how many of you hear the words VeggieTales and immediately start wanting to sing? Maybe I'm just the only one. Anyway, you'll feel safe letting your kids choose any show they want to watch on Minnow. You won't have to worry about what might pop up next. And the best part? There are no commercials. That's right, ad-free streaming. So, if you want to sign up, visit gominnow.com. That's MINNO. Once you're there, use coupon code JOURNEY to begin your 7-day free trial. After you're signed up, that's it. You can start streaming anytime, anywhere, on your phone, tablet, TV, or computer. You can even download your favorite shows to go and stream on multiple devices at once. With Minnow, kids discover God in stories they love, and parents find expert help and everyday encouragement as they lead their family in faith. Minnow helps you have the conversations that really matter with your kids, so you can experience the goodness of God together. Minnow, where faith has a home in stories kids love. Use coupon code JOURNEY to start your free trial today at gominnow.com. That's MINNO. Now let's get on with the podcast.
Well, for us, it was hard at Dakota, and my podcast listeners probably don't even remember that I ever used that, but I used it when the girls were really little and loved it. Loved it. And it got to the point where it didn't work to keep the girls together anymore. And so we took a break from it for 2 years and tried to go back. And when we tried to go back, I was like, oh, it's just not going to work. But I love the idea of all of the kids learning together. And to me, it was like what I wanted my homeschool to be, like all the kids learning the same thing and like this one room schoolhouse type vision. And that's really what I wanted. I've always wanted my homeschool to kind of be, and it's just never really worked out for us to be able to have that. And so that was probably number one. And then the second one was Hooked on Phonics with Daniel, which I kind of talked about already, because I wanted it to work for the sentimental reasons, because I had taught so many kids to read with the program. I used that program to teach kids when I was in high school and then in college tutoring, and I wanted it for the sentimental reasons, and I kept it. I still have it. I'm wanting to use it with my grandkids someday. But it's just the sentimental aspect of it, and it was really hard for me. Like I can't imagine giving it away. Like I have on the little lessons, there's stickers where they get to put their stickers on when they're done. Yeah. I have like 10 stickers on each lesson from all the kids I taught with those books to teach to read.
Oh, that's such a cute idea. Yeah. I pulled all of our stickers off to give the kid a fresh chart.
Oh, no, I have all of them. And I would even say, cute. Look, like so-and-so used this, or, these stickers from where I taught XYZ to use this. And I have a picture of all of the kids with their very first book, Cat, that they got. And I have all of those from all the kids I taught to read with that program, like with their very first book.
That's so sweet.
Except Daniel, who's my own kid. Like, I think I might have took a picture anyway. I'll have to look, but I don't know that he actually read it. Maybe I should take it now. Take it now at 8 years old. Be like, hey, Daniel. read this book.
Yeah, he can totally read it now.
He can totally read it now. Yeah. Oh gosh. So how has your curriculum changed over the years?
I think more than a curriculum change has been an attitude change. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just so much more relaxed now. My kids are learning and they're smart and they enjoy it. And so I'm just kind of like I don't want to say like a whatever mom, but I kind of am in a way. They'll sometimes say, Mom, I really don't want to do this assignment. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care.
I
Now,
understand.
sometimes Lily I will make her, because where she's in high school now, I'm like, well, you have to have the practice of doing things you don't like sometimes. And I want to make sure that she is doing enough work to actually earn that credit. I don't want to just give it to her. But for the most part, though, I mean, my kids they like what they do. And if they see something they really don't want to do activity-wise, they skip it. And I don't care. Part of the reason is because they are independent learners. I know I'm at work and they're doing their schoolwork, if they really aren't into something, they could skim it or skip it and pretend they did it, and I would never know.
Yeah.
So I feel like it helps them to be honest about it and to not be tempted to lie to me about what they've done or what they've read, because they know that I'm going to be supportive of whatever, as long as they're learning, I'm fairly supportive of whatever their education choices are for that. It's probably the part of parenting that I'm the most relaxed about is their education now, which is crazy because that used to be the thing I was the most uptight about.
Yeah,
but
people should go back and listen to our episode about that. Like,
yeah.
Which is the homeschool regrets episode. I'll have to.
Oh man, yeah. Yeah, like this is total opposite of but I think part of it is because we have been through so many really, really challenging things, which I think we talked about in that episode. And my kids were fine. So it just made me feel like it's okay. It's going to be okay. I don't have to stress about this. Like, my kids are going to be fine as long as I do my best as a parent. They learn and they love Jesus. Like, as long as they love Jesus and they have a good work ethic, that's really all that they need, and they'll be totally fine in life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And I love that you said that. I mean, I think mine's the same way. Our curriculum's changed, like, which I did an episode. I'll have to leave. I don't know what episode number it was, but it was like probably one of the first 10 episodes where I kind of went through all the curriculum we've used through the years and what I liked and didn't like about it. So our curriculum has changed, but I think that my mindset has changed more. And it doesn't really matter what curriculum you use. Your theory of education, is that the right word? Is going to be the same. Like, what you think about education is going to be the same no matter what tool you use to get there. If that makes sense.
Yes, I think that's exactly what I was getting at. Is like, we could be using this curriculum or something totally different. And I think the way that we do school would still be similar, even with a completely different textbook.
Yeah. And I have had my kids kind of cheat their way through school. Like, when I would get lax and not check their work every week, there'd be times where it's like, did you really do that? Oh yeah, school's done. And then I go and check it and I'm like, dude, you like just totally lied to me. Like, you said this was done.
One of my kids wrote too much math on her math page and just closed the book and checked it off her list. And I found out 3 weeks later.
Yes. Yes. And so, and I mean, that has happened more times than I can count. And, I'm like, that's a heart issue for one. But for two, I'm like, in actuality, do they really need to do all those math problems? Like,
yeah.
So I am stricter with my high schooler, but I have also got this mindset of 80%. And when she's reached 80% of her book, like this school year, like I'm going to give her credit. Like, she's worked really hard her first year of high school. And we maybe did too many credits. I'm not sure, but she's had a rough year with it. Just making sure she gets it all done. And it's a big jump from junior high to high school and the amount of time it takes to get the work done.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing that's been surprising to us this year, is that Lily is spending a lot more hours on school than we had
Mm-hmm.
anticipated. And it's still not a lot. I mean, it might be 4 or 5 hours a day. So it's
Right.
not a lot, but it's kind of a lot for us. Like, she can no longer just skip a day
Mm-hmm.
and then catch it up the next day. Like, if
Yes.
she's going to take a day off, she has to really plan for that and do like extra math one day and extra science one day and extra history one day and be ready to take that day off, or she can get really behind really fast, and then catching up is very challenging.
Yes, exactly. That's how we found too. So, okay. Last question. Here we go. Here's our big reveal. What do you plan on using next school year?
Okay. This will probably not be a surprise.
Okay, I'm ready.
So Lily is going to do Apology as Science. She's going to do biology. She will do Knotgrass history, and I don't know if she's going to do the government or if she's going to do world history. I'm not sure yet. I think we have both, and she can choose either one. Which that includes her language arts and her Bible. For math is actually still undecided. I don't know if she's going to stick with Saxon or if we're going to change her out. She's probably going to make a decision last minute about that, and I'm fine with it. And then for Bible, she does this thing. It's called Digging Deeper with Cindy Cawley. And it's a Bible study for women and teen girls that really goes deep, deep, deep into the Bible. And she does that. She's done that for a couple years now. And I mean, she might spend 30 minutes to an hour a day on this. She wouldn't have to. She's very thorough with it. Like, she does every single question, every single reading, every single podcast, like every single thing they have for the study, she does it. So somebody could do it and not spend as much time as she's spending on that. So that's what she's doing. She's also going to continue teaching, assuming schools are open back up. She will continue being assistant teacher at our church's preschool program. She loves that. Actually, she's thinking about going into early childhood development or teaching, because she really enjoys that. And then we'll have a couple other little electives here and there, but I'm not sure. We haven't decided on electives yet. And then Grace, so she's going to continue doing Apologia. She will have the anatomy book. And then what was that other one? Is there a chemistry elementary book?
Oh, yeah. That was a fun year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she'll have both of those next year. She'll do one the first semester, one the second semester. It's her plan. And I'm sure she will, because she has no problem going through this really fast. And then she will, I cannot remember if she's in volume 3 or volume 4 of Mystery of History. So she's going to finish Mystery of History, and then she'll move into, she's in volume 4. I remember that now. This is why I'm so confused. She started the year with volume 3, but she finished that early too. So she started volume 4 in January. So that's why I can't keep that straight. But when she finishes volume 4, she will go into America the Beautiful, I think. She'll do one of the Knotgrass Middle School ones.
That's my favorite.
And then we're going to stick with teaching textbooks for math for her. We just started using that this year, and that has been a really good fit on the computer. It's kind of taken that off my plate, and she seems to really be enjoying that. So we're going to stick with that. What other subjects do we have for her? Well, I guess Bible and language arts then are taken care of with Knotgrass. So that's pretty much it for her core subjects.
Okay.
All right. So what about you?
So we are going to use Mr. D Math. Allison is going to do Algebra 2. And Kristen is going to be doing Algebra 1. Allison's going to stick with the live classes. Kristen did not like the live classes. She does not like being tied down to a certain time of day. So, which I'm fine with. So that saves me the monthly fee of paying for the live classes.
Yeah.
So Daniel's going to do teaching textbooks again. And we are going to keep using Nessie.com for his, he really likes playing the games and stuff on there for reading, and it's a program for kids with dyslexia. I've not decided about his language arts. So we've been using Logic of English this year, and it is a great program. He really has come a long way with it. However, it's a lot of work, and it takes us a good hour just to do one lesson with him. And I feel like there's a lot of times he's still doing school once we add in his breaks when Kristen's done. And because we have to take so many breaks with him. And so I feel like we're going really slow through it because it's a lot. So I'm contemplating with him on, instead of moving up to Logic of English Essentials, doing master books, Language for a Living Education. I can't remember the name of it. I've not decided yet. I wanted to look at them at Great Homeschool Conventions, but obviously I can't. So I'm hoping to look at them in Atlanta in July, but I don't know if Master Books is going to be there. But there might be a third party that has them. So I'm not decided about that yet. Kristen is going to be doing All AG Online, Nelson Academy. She's going to do Animal Science 2 and Equine Science 1. She's going to do one each semester. Allison's going to do another year Spanish 2 with the fun clase, Senor de Gamachi. I don't know. That class has been a pain in my rear end. I'll be completely honest with you. Like, she spends so much time on Spanish. It is insane. But she has learned so much. She can talk Spanish as well as some of these public school kids that she's friends with that's in Spanish 2 or even Spanish 3. And she's not done with Spanish 1. Very strict, very time intensive, takes up the bulk of her outside of school time, like studying, but she wants to continue on with Spanish 2. So we are, but it takes up so much time. She's in live class so much. So then it's a big announcement. I don't really know that it's an announcement, but as we finish this school year, I really wanted to end the year with something fun with the kids because all of our co-ops and everything was canceled. And of course, we'll still be doing co-op and Daniel will be doing speech. And we all just kind of felt like we were in a rut with school. So I had been looking at Gather Around Homeschool for morning time for next school year. I'd been looking at it. And I messaged my friend Rebecca, who owns it, and asked her, I'm like, hey, will this be good for morning time? And she said, yeah, it'd be great. I was like, okay. So I had kind of planned on doing that. Well, then everything kind of shut down and we just really needed something fun with everybody together, kind of like that one-room schoolhouse that I was talking about earlier. Mm-hmm. So we bought North American Birds to finish the school year with. And the kids have absolutely loved it. They've really enjoyed it. It's back to what I kind of pictured our homeschool days being, as far as like everybody together. Because I felt disconnected from my girls because they have been working independently for so long. I felt like I knew what they were learning. And I think this year doing Not Grass with all 3 kids with American history really helped kind of ignite that fire of having everybody together again, because we were kind of at least all studying something the same. But I felt like so disconnected. And I kept thinking, Allison's only got a couple years left at home. Yeah. And I've really not spent a lot of time with her as far as her schoolwork goes, other than checking her work and making sure it's done, which is important. That's important as your kids get older. I'm not saying it's not. It is important for them to be separate. But I also felt like even though we were homeschooling, we had that disconnect when it came to certain areas. So they've all loved it. And so they asked me, hey, can we keep doing this next year? And I'm like, okay, sure. Why not? So I bought, they do different units, and I bought Africa, Earth Science, Asia, and Oceans. So we're going to do those 4. Each unit is either 4 weeks or 5 weeks, depending on how you do it. There's 20 lessons, and we're going to do that for at least the first half of the school year. See if we all still like it. It's for all ages, elementary all the way up through high school. Allison already has a good bulk of her high school credits, so I am still going to give her world history and geography credit for next year. because we're still going to supplement Apologia and Knotgrass with it. Because like when we're talking about oceans, we can pull out our Apologia Ocean Animal book. When we're learning about Africa or the different continents, Allison can still study some of that with her Knotgrass World History book. So yeah, that's where we're at.
That sounds fun.
As far as next school year. And it was a hard decision. Like, I don't want anybody to discredit what we think of Knotgrass or Apologia, because we do still plan on using them in our homeschool. Allison's still going to use Knotgrass's World History Literature books, like their selections for her literature credit. And yeah, but it's going to be different. And I don't know that we're going to keep doing this forever, but it really does get me back to what I wanted our school to look like, you know?
Yeah.
With everybody kind of learning together. So,
And that's one of the really nice things about homeschooling is that it cultivates, or it can cultivate, a bond between people.
mhm.
And that's like one of the sweeter parts of it. Which actually, you saying that reminded me, I did buy something kind of that I've been thinking about, sort of this topic for a while. So my kids are currently 5th and 9th grade. Most people do state history in 4th grade.
Mhm.
I totally neglected that
We've not either.
all across the board. Okay, that makes me feel so much better because I haven't wanted to say this on the air for
Yeah.
your readers. But I was at a used curriculum store in Louisville, Karen's Curriculum Corner, which is phenomenal. Love that place so much. But I was there and they had some stuff for state history, and they had a lot of stuff for Kentucky history. So I was flipping through a bunch of things. A lot of it looked boring. I found one textbook. There were some literature books that I even flipped through that they looked really boring, but this particular textbook looked fun, and I read through some of it. And I decided that we're going to go ahead and add that to our morning basket and just kind of go through Kentucky history together. I would love to eventually do Ohio history too, because we're so close to Ohio, and I'm also from Ohio. My husband's from Kentucky, so I feel like that's fair.
Well, yeah,
If he gets
totally.
Kentucky history, I get Ohio history too. So we're going to do that. And I'm looking forward to that. But it's kind of like what you said, like just learning together. And in a way, it almost makes me glad that I did totally skip that with Lily when she was in 4th, because now we can do it as a group and just enjoy that time together learning about local things. And also, we love to camp. If everything ever opens back up, my big plan for Kentucky history was to learn about it and then to take 2 weeks and go camping at various
That'd be
historical places or near historical places, and then visit them during the day. So I want to just go camping through Kentucky for a couple weeks. I think that would be a lot of fun. And then the other thing I forgot to mention was I just bought this for Grace. I've been eyeing it for months and months. I'm so glad I bought it. It is called No Sweat Nature Studies with Our Journey Westward. Have you heard of this?
Yes, Cindy was on the podcast.
Yes. Oh man. So it's $14 a month. I went ahead and paid $35 to get 3 months just to give her time to try it out and see if she likes it. She loves this so much. So they do every other week. They do just about an hour long live lesson about a different topic in nature. And the kids get to do a little experiment. They have these nature journals. I love it because Grace can do it totally independently. So she can, and it's just basic household supplies. It's like you need a ruler and a paper towel or whatever. Like it's super, super easy stuff. I don't have to buy anything for these little experiments, but it inspires her. Like she has been watching these videos, and you get access to the online library with all the past videos. So she's been doing those. You get a PDF printable with every lesson. So she's been following along. And then after she watches them, she goes outside to find or do whatever it was that they learned about in the lesson, because she loves it that much. Like it's a really good jumping off point for her, and she just wants to keep exploring whatever topic it was. So those are fantastic. I love those. I highly recommend them for people who it's a good fit. It may not be a good fit for every kid, but for us, it has just been a lot of fun. And Grace has even said, she's never done a live class before. So she even said she just really loves the live classes. She's having a lot of fun being in there at the same time as other students and getting to watch her, just in real time. So that's been really cool for us as well. And we are planning on using that then the upcoming school year as part of her science curriculum.
Yeah. Well, that's what, like, Daniel's doing, like, some supplements too, like Lego classes online, a live Lego class online without school. And I love that we can still have the time to add those things. I didn't know that Cindy had started a live nature study. That is
Yes.
awesome.
I think she started it in October maybe. So Grace is
Aw.
planning on going through and watching all of them.
Aw,
But yeah, it's
Cindy
great.
does a great job with that too. She really does.
She does. Grace and I, so there's a free sample. It's the full lesson. You get the PDF, the live video, or it's not a live video anymore, it's recorded, but you get the entire lesson. It's on her website, and it's about, I was going to say squirrels. It's not about squirrels. I can't remember what it's about now. I just totally blanked out. But anyways, Grace and I did it before we bought it just to make sure. So I did it. I watched it with her, and she's like so fun for the kids. And I love that she started out very basic, just some basic background information. So your kids can go in there not knowing anything about the topic, and they won't feel behind. But then even Grace, like she had said the first few minutes, like, Mom, I already know this. And I said, Grace, it's okay. I think she's going to get more in depth. And she really did. Grace is very science-minded, and she learned a lot in these videos, like watching these too. So I love how I don't really know, like it's a skill to be able to do that in a 45-minute period, to go from like catching the super beginners up and still teaching something to the kids who already know a little bit about the topic. But she's just fun and engaging, and she has a really great voice for this. Like I just like listening to her voice whenever Grace is doing these.
Aw, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, okay, did you have anything else you wanted to share about curriculum?
I don't think so. I think that we pretty much covered it all. I think if anything I'd want to share would just be to reiterate to every mom to just do what works for you and your kids. You know them better than anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like what we like, that's fine. And if you really hate it and it doesn't work, that's fine too. Just get what works for your family. Ultimately, it doesn't matter a whole ton what curriculum you use.
Yes.
Of course, you want to be careful biblically that you're not using anything that goes against
right.
that. But other than that, it doesn't matter a whole lot what curriculum you use. The end result is still the kids are educated. So it's okay. Use Apologia, use something else. It doesn't matter. Your kids are still going to be educated. They're going to be fine.
Yes, absolutely. Amen. And I will leave a link to everything we mentioned in this episode on the show notes page at joyfullyhomeschooling.com. So, Davonne, thank you so much, my friend. It was so nice talking to you today. Hopefully we can actually see each other in person soon.
Yes, maybe in May or June.
All right. I'll talk to you later, friend.
All right. Thanks, Misty.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been an episode of the Joyfully Homeschooling Podcast. I thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please take the time to leave a rating or review on iTunes or whatever platform it is that you use to listen to this podcast. That tells the powers to be I'm not talking to myself. Also, hit subscribe. Then you will catch every episode of the Joyfully Homeschooling Podcast each week right there in your podcast feed. You can find show notes and more at joyfullyhomeschooling.com and clicking on the episode number of the episode you are looking for. Thanks, guys. I hope this podcast encouraged you to head out there and have a more joyful homeschool.